Okay, watch what you say. We're all being recorded. Okay, welcome to the Tuxedo Town Board meeting of February 27th, 2003. We have meeting remotely, Councilperson Deirdre Murphy, wave hi, Deirdre, and Deputy Supervisor Michelle Lindsay. And we have Howard Prater with us, distinguished Howard Prater, and myself, Jay Reichgott, and Maria May here in person. We're going to try to run this meeting as quickly and as effectively as possible because the snow has started to fall in Tuxedo. And we need to get Rob Dolbaum out there on the road. So I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. As always, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We have, how many agenda items? 4 agenda items this evening. A resolution to appoint a recreation director, resolution to terminate lease agreements, 2 of them on Long Meadow Road, town property, resolution to accept the tourism grant, a resolution to approve budget modifications. I'll ask, is there any public comments on agenda items? I'll take that as a no. Okay, we're going to move forward with first resolution. I'll read the resolution, and then I'm going to turn the microphone over to Councilperson Maria May. Okay, I'm going to make a motion and ask for a second that the Town Board of the Town of Tuxedo hereby approves the appointment of Kathleen Metcalf for the position of part-time recreation director with the start date of March 6, 2023 at the hourly rate of $30.04 from budget line A7020.1. I'll make a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Maria May. The floor is open for questions or comments. I just had a question, Marissa. I understand that Kathleen's credentials were sent to Orange County and we got the...
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, you were going to say that? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay. So then I don't have any questions. Let me turn it up. Let me extend the discussion to Maria so she could bring us up to speed. So please go ahead, Maria.
Welcome, Kathleen. She is on remote. She has been pre-approved by Orange County Civil Service HR to this part-time position. Kathleen holds a bachelor's degree in recreation from St. Thomas Aquinas College and comes to us with many years of experience designing, organizing, and implementing sports and recreation programs in Monroe and Rockland. As I've gotten to know Kathleen, I sense her passion for sports and for getting folks of all ages to get out there playing and enjoying teamwork. I believe that all of us on this board look forward to growing and professionalizing our recreation offerings in town, including having a wonderful and thriving summer camp this summer.
Thank you.
I have a procedural question. Do we need to define the number of hours that is in her part-time, right? Whatever it is, no more than...
I have that answer.
Oh, excellent.
I did talk to Mike about that, and he said that we could define it between 17 and a half hours to 30 hours. So it could be as loose as that. And he was fine with that. And that's what we submitted to civil service.
Okay, so I just didn't know if we needed to put it into the form of the resolution.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay, good.
Yeah,
No,
for
it's
the
good
budget
information. And
modification,
Howard
we
is
did-
shaking his head no.
Our
So-
attorney is about to opine.
Yeah,
Yes, Howard?
You've defined it by the limitation that it remains part-time. So as long as it's within that budget category, you're fine.
Yeah,
Excellent, thank you.
and we submitted a budget modification to include the 17 and a half hours before camp and the 4 weeks of camp plus 2 weeks of 30 hours.
Excellent.
Good, thank you. I have nothing else.
I have, does Michelle or Deidre have any comment other than that?
No, just looking forward to getting her on board.
Same here.
Same here?
Yep.
Okay, I consider discussion closed. I'll just take all in favor? That, make note, it's unanimous. And Kathleen, welcome aboard.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Looking forward to getting going in
Seriously,
a
no.
week or two.
Yeah, see you
Next week.
next week.
Next week, yeah.
We'll
Okay,
get your
thanks.
desk ready and all will be well. Looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, everybody. Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye,
Thank
Kathleen.
you.
Agenda item number 2. Resolution terminating tenancies at the Highway Department site on Long Meadow Road. Whereas the town has been leasing space at the highway garage to a company named Painting and Sandblasting Incorporated, P.O. Box 566, Suffern, New York, 10901, and to a company named Engines Plus Incorporated of 2 Van Orden Avenue, Suffern, New York. And whereas the leases have expired with the tenancies being converted to month-to-month tenancies, and whereas the town wants to explore new options for the property in areas leased, and whereas the leases provided the town could terminate the tenancies on 30 days' notice, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby elects to terminate the aforesaid tenancies effective March 31st. Condition 2, that the tenants shall have until May 1st, 2023 to vacate and restore the premises. And provision 3, that the supervisor and the attorney for the town take all actions required to effectuate this resolution. I'll make a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Jay Reichcott. I'll open discussion to town board members. I'd just like to say that, the town needs to explore expanding space for our highway with the expansion of Tuxedo Farms. And also, we're looking to finalize the cleanup of the highway site. And so it's time for us to move forward on those actions. So that's my contribution to this discussion. So if there's no further discussion by the town board, I'd just like to take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, make note that it was 5 ayes. Third agenda item, resolution to accept municipal tourism grant from Orange County. I'll make a motion and ask for a second in a moment that the town board of the town of Tuxedo hereby accepts the municipal tourism grant in the amount of $4,950 and authorizes the town supervisor to sign the agreement upon review from town attorney Howard Prater. There's an email that was submitted. Dear Deirdre Murphy, Orange County is pleased to inform you that the town of Tuxedo has been awarded a municipal tourism grant in the amount of $4,950. We thank the town of Tuxedo for its application and its continued efforts to host great events that are such an asset to the community. Best of luck with this event and those to follow. We look forward to working with you again. Okay, I made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll,
I'll say, oh, go
Maria,
ahead.
go ahead.
No,
Maria,
you
go
do
ahead.
it, Deidre.
Deirdre.
You should do it, yeah.
Deirdre the second. Okay, the floor is open to comment from town board members. Deirdre, why don't you give us a little history of how this all came
You're
about?
muted.
Muted. Oh, sorry. Well, there are 2 elements to this particular grant application. One is to accommodate the request from Orange County Film and Tourism, so we can put together a digital portfolio that they can have on file for their tourism bureau when they get requests about different sites throughout Orange County. They'll be able to look at it with some information about the site. So that's one part. And the other part is to have an outdoor event which would be part of the Tuxedo Art and Music genre of events. And hopefully, now that we have Kathlena on board, we'll be able to put something together. This will be an event for town residents, but also, just like we do with Plein Air, we will invite our neighbors to come and celebrate many of the beauties of Tuxedo. So those are the two things. The one other note is that we are looking at other expenditures that we've had for this particular budget item, because we don't think that we have depleted the funds that we had been awarded in the past. So we're doing a deep dive into that. And we've talked to Carrie about setting aside these funds so that we can accurately track them and make sure that we're on target with how we're spending our money. So with that said, that's it.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Excellent.
That was excellent.
We gotta vote.
All right. Time for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's an easy lift. 5 ayes. Agenda item number 4, budget modifications, resolution to approve. I'll make a motion, ask for a second, that the town board of the town of Tuxedo hereby authorizes the budget modifications as proposed by the letter from Andrew Arias dated February 7th, 2023. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Here's what I found.
Ooh. Who's talking? My watch? Maria found it. We don't need you. Talking to my watch, by the way. Okay, I was just gonna say that these are budget modifications, really just moving money around in different, as we refined our budget and expenses, putting them in the most appropriate categories. And, I've reviewed all of these with Carrie, and of course, these were budget modifications submitted to the board by Andrew Arias, the town's auditor and financial consultant. So that's the only comment I have. I'll open it up to other board members' comments.
It's the usual thing. You make a budget, you take your best guess. At the end of the year, you gotta
Right,
move the money around. Right? It's different pockets, it's all the same pair of pants.
yeah. Actually, last Monday and Tuesday, Michelle and I attended the Association of Town meeting. And I learned a lot about fund balances and budgets. That was the thrust of this particular time going there. And one of the things that I was thinking that I heard from the people, most of whom are from the comptroller's office that teach these courses, is that it might be interesting for us to consider a fund balance policy. Because I think right now we don't have one that's specific to what we want to do with the fund balances that we have, and just really analyze what we have and put it on paper. And I thought, maybe that could be work that we can do, down the line.
Can I say something? I think that's a great idea, but I thought we were really thinking of doing that at like a capital plan. That would be, to me, a capital plan. And maybe it would be a good idea if we did a workshop where we could talk about where everybody's directionally thinks we should be spending some of this money.
Certainly, a capital plan is part of it. We also have outstanding obligations to pay out police vacation, sick balances. That's absolutely very substantial. And so we've discussed that, but we formally need to commit those dollars. So it actually wouldn't appear as a fund balance. It would.
Committed
Funds would be
expenses.
Committed, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm talking about, I hear exactly what you're saying. There are certain funds that are committed, and usually it's pretty much a large portion of the funds. But It would be nice to take a chunk of it and say 50% is committed and then 50% is fund balance, and just sort of segment maybe 50% of that and say where we think that should be directed. Just directional, really, and that would be, at least, that's my suggestion anyway. Of course, I have a fever, so who
I
cares?
mean, I think my understanding of it, and as I said, I'm still learning. My understanding of it is that you do all of those things, that you look at your capital, plan, and you look at the things that are already encumbered or that we need to save. But that it is open, it's almost like a study that the town does on itself. And then we say, okay, this is what we see. And it gives us a more clear picture, not just having a whole bunch of fund balances there.
Right.
Like, because they're not really there.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I think they're all good ideas, and none of what we've just discussed is mutually exclusive. It's all part
Right,
of the-
exactly.
of the
Yeah.
budgeting and balancing and planning.
Yeah.
So,
One of the good news items that, we don't really have the budget closed yet because there's some invoices and funds that still need to be reflected to close the books on 2022. But one thing I could definitely let people know is the sales tax budget that we budgeted for 2022 at $375,000. We actually got $641,000, so we have a surplus of, or not a surplus, but revenues that we didn't budget of $266,000. So that's not reflected in this report yet. And we also got the $100,000 from the dormitory authority, which is not reflected in these reports as well. And you would notice in the report to the town board members that we did take planned decreases through the budget of $264,000, but the decrease was actually $201,000. So even having planned decreases through the budget process, we still had over $60,000 difference there, a positive to the town. So we're in good financial shape, and all the comments that have just been made certainly need to be put into effect. A capital plan, the earmarking of funds for retirement and, sick and vacation time, et cetera. So, all good.
we gotta vote
Further
this one.
comment? Okay, if there's no further comment, I'd just like to make a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. You- The second was,
No, sorry.
I think it was me, right?
let me see if I actually wrote it down.
Deirdre was the grant.
Maria,
Maria,
It
yep,
was me.
Maria. Was
Yeah, it
Maria.
was me.
Yep, wrote it down, right? Yeah. Okay, that was agenda item number 4.
Department updates.
Department updates. Melissa Dolbaum.
I just have one quick thing to bring up. This is more for the town board. I'm looking into upgrading our phone system. We currently have Avaya/Avatel is the company. We lease equipment through them, I've learned. And they have a cloud-based system that I think would be a good option for us. Right now, we're limited to only 2 incoming calls at one time. That would allow the callers to get the auto attendant, which is I think it's Ken's voice. Thank you for calling Tuxedo Town Hall, and then goes through the prompts. If we get more than 2 calls at one time, that third call goes to no man's land, and then just falls into one of the open lines, and it could be in the building department, but it's really for the court. And so we often see that because we're typically getting more than 2 calls in a lot. And that also includes if someone was checking their voicemail in one call. So that really limits us. So this cloud-based system seems to be a good option. Price-wise, there's not much of a difference. I could get you the exact numbers. Another thing that they offer is to maintain the phone lines, where we wouldn't be paying Optimum for the phone lines any longer. It would go through them.
Phone
So
lines within the building.
within the building, yeah, just with the, for the phone system. So right now, say our phones aren't working, we go to Avaya Avatel, they said, nope, not us, call Optimum, then we call Optimum and they say, oh, might be us, might not. So, this would eliminate Optimum altogether, and they price that in, not having to pay Optimum separately for the phone lines that we're currently paying through Optimum. So just wanted to bring that up. I do have the numbers for you. I could pass them on so you could take a look at them. There's a little bit with the equipment and leasing, but I think that's typical with these phone systems. Once this lease is up, we would have to turn that in and get new phone, but there wouldn't be an extra charge for that. It would really just be, you know, I don't want to say hassle, but we would have to coordinate doing that, getting the equipment changed over with them.
Is this, are we talking about a large enough amount of money that we have to go out to bid and all the rest of it, or?
No, it's basically what we're currently paying now versus switching over to the cloud-based system, dropping the phone line. I think there's maybe, I'm totally guessing right now, but $50 difference increase in a monthly, compared to what we're already paying. And I think, Howard, I'm not sure if I'm correct in this, but we're not changing phone companies or systems.
We're just changing the plan?
We're just changing the plan, so, yes.
Okay, so, I mean, great, good.
Sounds good?
So,
Okay.
yeah, let's see the numbers and let's make sure that Howard reviews the contract before we sign
Okay,
anything.
so I'll get all that together and send that over. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Robert, something tells me we're gonna get snow this evening.
Good guess, Ed. We are, I guess we're snow plowing, thought we were gonna escape the winter with that, without having to go out and really hit it hard. So we have that going. They're looking for next Thursday, Friday, possibly another 10 to 12-inch snowstorm this coming Thursday and Friday. So that's something, so winter's having a little fun with us. So we're doing that, we're still out trimming trees. We've moved off of the Laurel Ridge section at the moment, and we are in the Clinton Woods area. I guess there's a few people that I haven't talked to up there to get some trees trimmed that are sketchy, you know, people that may have a problem with what gets trimmed and stuff in the Laurel Ridge area. Other than that, everything's done. So we're moving along with that. We're starting to get ready, bringing equipment out to get ready for the spring, looking at checking the equipment. There's a couple items that we may need this spring, going into the springs, the new lawnmower, riding mower, things like that. But we'll talk about that as the time comes, you know. And
So how do you explain the decision and the trimming of the trees? I know you and I have discussed this. Obviously, part of the strategy is to make sure the sun can hit the road and dry it effectively and quickly, which helps with the lifespan of the roads.
you dry it, if you dry it and the sun gets to it quicker, it dries the roads. In the winter, it not thaws the road, but melts the road quicker, gets the salt to melt the roads quicker. The sun gets to it, they dries them in the summertime, it dries it off. It protects the road by letting more light and sun get to it.
Is there a certain amount of right-of-way on the side of each road that you have to keep clear, or?
Well, in the developments like Laurel Ridge and Clinton Woods, we'll minimize how far back we go. We will go back as far as necessary to use our equipment, trucks basically, to plow and maintain the edges of the roads. So we're not going to go like we did on Warwick Brook. We're not going to go that back far in the residential development, but we're going to go far enough back so when the plow truck goes down the edge of the road and it's hitting the mirrors and the stuff with the trees, that stuff's going.
Okay.
And our right-of-way technically is whatever, and I think I've explained this before, the right-of-way that we enforce is anything, the legal right-of-way of the road is not your road in X amount of feet. It's the amount of property that you maintain on each side of the road. So if you maintain 50 feet, that's your right-of-way. If you only maintain 10 feet, that's your right-of-way. Has to be the property that you maintain, not some number that's pulled out of the air where you get 35 feet from the center line, or you do this, that's not your right-of-way.
I imagine you need someplace to push the snow to as well on the side of the road.
But that would be considered your right-of-way.
Right. Thank you for the explanation. Just trying to help everybody to understand the challenges that you face and why you're doing it. And obviously, you know, you have to do it once for what, like 10 years or something like that?
Right. Well, I figure when we finally get done with the whole town, it's going to be about a 10 to 12 year cycle the first time around. And then after that, probably down to an 8 to 10 year cycle to do the rest of the town. Because I'm noticing what we did in the beginning of town is now starting to grow back. And we should have trimmed a little more then, but now we're going to have to go back and trim like along the thruway fence around East Village, up around the nursery and stuff. So it's going to be like a continuous cycle that you're going to do. And as a maintenance item, with all the dead ash trees falling and all the dead ash trees along the sides of the roads, we're getting a lot more things like that. Yeah.
Thanks, Rob. Hope you guys are safe tonight.
Oh, yeah, and then the last thing is the sewer stuff that we've been working on, unless you're going to bring sewer.
Oh, go ahead, please. Yeah, I was going to mention it, but you want?
I'll leave it to you then, Ken. I'll let you know.
Okay, so supervisor's update. You know, Rob, myself, Jay, Sean Hoffman, working with the operators from, now it's called H2O Innovations. They're the operators of the sewer plant. We had a gentleman from Delaware Engineering that designed and built the plant. Henry Hefner from Related, who's also, you know, the chief related guy involved with building the plant and activating it. You know, if everybody doesn't know, we activated the plant, I believe, on January 14th. So now we have our Lamborghini, Jay tells me it's a Cadillac. Okay, it's somewhere between a Lamborghini and a Cadillac, but it's a 21st century plant up and running, but we still are saddled to a Model T collection system, literally a collection system that's got to be, what, 80 plus years old, maybe even back to the one that.
Maybe even back to the
Original
construction of
base.
the construction of the park,
So,
yes.
1898 or something along those lines, whatever. It's a very old collection system made up of cast iron, Rob, terracotta. Your mic shut off, just so you know.
Cast iron, terracotta, and ductile.
So it's a hodgepodge of all old stuff that you can imagine is deteriorating.
As they added on to the system and houses grew on the outside, they used, I guess, whatever was around, whatever was the best at that time, you know.
And another big factor to understand back in those days, stormwater, wastewater, all went down the same pipes a lot of times, and that's the way it is in New York City. I've been educated, and on this kind of a plant, we're trying to process sewage, not stormwater. Actually, stormwater, clean water is not good for these plants. It kills the microbes that actually digest the contaminants in the water. So we need to get this under control. Again, this is nothing unique just to Tuxedo. These systems have been neglected by communities all over the state, all over the country for decades. And this town board is definitely committed to rectifying that, and we need to get the plant to run efficiently. So that's my supervisor's update. We had a very comprehensive 2.5-hour meeting at the plant today by all that I mentioned earlier. We're committed to getting this under control. Howard Prado, our attorney, is working to get an agreement with a company that will diagnose and also begin to rectify some of these problems. Howard, do you want to say a couple of sentences as to where we're at with that?
Yes, certainly. I've reached out to the company and they're submitting to us their proposal. What we're doing is we're piggybacking on existing municipal contracts that have used this same company to provide these services. Essentially, the services are to scope the lines and identify these areas where there's significant infiltration and inflow. And then we'll have essentially a map that will inform the engineers as to what areas need to be remediated and give them an idea of some alternatives for that remediation as to whether it's replacement, lining the existing pipes, or whether the pipes have to be replaced. So we should have something from these folks next week. As you may recall, at your previous meeting, you had approved this preliminary work using ARPA funds. And the contract that we're going to be entering into will reflect that. And you also previously put a budget cap on the expenditure. I think it was 100,000. And so that's what we're going to be looking for in terms of this proposal that's coming in. Obviously, if it exceeds that cap, if their estimate exceeds that cap, then it'll come back to the town board for further review and authorization before any work is commenced and before the contract's signed. But the target is to keep it under 100,000 so that it's in line with your previous authorization.
So that work that we're authorizing is really the diagnostics for the most part. Hopefully it'll come in under that, of course, but
Yes,
we have 100 and how many manholes that you opened up, Rob?
157.
157 manholes, and then all of the pipe connecting it all the way. Three main branches. We have east.
We have 4 branches.
4 branches.
One is up Mountain Road in the school side of town, so let's say the south side of the hamlet. And then number 2 is the center part of the hamlet, which we're in right now. Number 3 is up through the village to 26 or 8 or 4 houses that we have up there. And then number 4 would be the East Village. We separated them down to 100 is everything south on the south end of town, on the west side of 17. 200 series is everything in Middletown. 300 series is the village, and 400 series is the East Village. So if you know that there's a problem, somebody knows there's a problem at 327, they know where to go. They don't have to go, well, where do we go? We gotta go up here. Where to go to check that man out.
So, just so everybody knows, Rob and his team have been surveying literally every manhole and has shot video and took notes on the flow of the day. Took notes, we've been tracking the rain to see how that's affecting the flow. And that will help us to really pinpoint. So when we work with this contractor, we're guiding them to the most likely culprits and saving the town a lot of money. So although we allocated $100,000, hopefully it'll be less, but this is a job that absolutely has to be accomplished in a very timely fashion. Jane, did you want to add anything? Because you've been involved in this.
Sure, since we're talking about the sewers.
This is going to be a multi-year project. Just to bring the entire collection system up to current standards. This first piece where we've identified 3 areas of significant infiltration is really some serious first aid kind of work that has to be done on an emergency basis. Once we get that under control, then we'll have the luxury of a much more deliberate and planned program. One of the things that Maria and Michelle at the AOT meetings spoke to some of the people who are offering grants and loans for this kind of work. The state, the state revolving fund through the EDC. This is, as you said, is a statewide, it's really a nationwide problem. There are government monies that came out of the most recent bipartisan infrastructure bill, and there are state monies, and that is the typical state grant and loan application project, and we have to have engineering studies, and we have to have 3 bids on any contract, and those monies are not going to be available to do this initial emergency work. But as we develop a program of infrastructure remediation for this, we will be able to pursue loans and grants. So we're just getting started with that process. And what else did I have about sewers? Oh, and I'm still working on a sewer law. Sean and I and Howard has started to look at it, or will be soon. We're targeting the second meeting in March to introduce that law. That's necessary to get, it's one of the conditions of our consent agreement with the DEC to get that law in the books, but that will also help with some of these other issues. Plugging the leaks in the system is a little bit more important, so if something's going to give, it'll be that, but we're still targeting the end of next month to have that start to be presented.
That'll require a public hearing.
Yes, it's going to be an additional section in the town code, and it is the short owner's manual. Well, it's only that thick, okay, for running the sewer system. It will be very interesting, I'm sure, for everyone.
Maria, since you're here, why don't you go next?
You know what, I did a lot of my talking in the early part, so it's just been a matter of, trying to get our rec department going again, and we're excited. We already got phone calls from folks that want to be lifeguards and so on, so that's been the main thrust of my work this last couple weeks.
Congratulations.
Right.
Michelle?
Hi, everybody. Just kind of following up on the sewer projects that will be going for several years. One of the sessions I attended last week at the Association of Towns was on debt issuance, and the speaker was Bob Smith, who happens to be our bond counsel from Hawkins Delafield. So I had a chance to chat with him about the Hamlet Sewer District. And maybe we should be thinking about at some point in time, working with him and our capital markets group on revenue anticipation notes, which we could issue in anticipation of grants and loans. They could be short-term in anticipation of those funds. So, I gave Bob the heads up that we've got some projects going that we might need his help with. So I don't know when we want to discuss that, but it is a long process and we might want to think about starting it sooner rather than later. Other projects, as Maria mentioned and Jay mentioned, we met with people about the infrastructure bill. While Maria was attending the infrastructure bill session, I was attending the Inflation Reduction Act session, which happened to be at the same time. But what we learned, we learned a lot about it, monies for the town, with the Inflation Reduction Act, we can actually get tax credits for solar projects and all kinds of energy upgrades as a direct payment, as opposed to, it's the first time the government's allowing this for municipalities, because normally it would be companies that need tax credits. Now we would get a direct payment in the amount of the tax credit that other taxable entities get, if that makes any sense. So that's a really exciting new provision in the tax law through that Inflation Reduction Act. I sent you a list of the different sessions that Maria and I attended that I think it would be great if we could schedule a workshop so Maria and I can share the information that we gathered, and that I think would be very helpful for the town board going forward. And then this Saturday, I just want to highlight and encourage everyone who hasn't been to a presentation on the Community Choice Aggregation Program to attend the event this Saturday, either in person at the library or via Zoom. And it's at 3:00. It's just about an hour, and you would have to register through the library's website in order to get their link. The Climate Smart Task Force will be meeting next Monday at 5:30 on the town's Zoom, and Marissa will post that on the website. That's it for me.
Thank you. Deirdre? You're muted, by the way.
Here I am. As you know, we were awarded the tourism grant, so pulling together a project list on that. Worked with Maria on the director position, and really happy that all came to a great conclusion. We formally requested New York State DOT to remove the mile-per-hour sign on Long Meadow Road, my little favorite project. So that has been submitted along with the letter that we got from the state on their audit, as well as a letter from the HOA of the Woodlands requesting that signage be removed as well. So we'll wait to hear from them on that. And we did get a formal proposal from Nelson Pope on the Greenway study. So I'm in the process of writing up basically a brief. You guys call it a scope of services, so we can post it on our website so we can get competitive bids and then get the project started, which is a requirement of the grant. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Minutes. I'll make a motion, ask for a second to accept the minutes of the regular bi-monthly town board meeting held on February 13th, 2023. Do I have a second?
Don't pick me.
Okay, I pick you, Jay. Open to town board discussion. Any edits or additions you wanted to pass on to Marissa?
No.
I think they've already been done.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll just say all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Vouchers. Vouchers. Carrie had provided town board members in the packet vouchers exceeding $5,000. So let me just read this. I'll read this first. As you'll notice, taxes collected for the fire, library, and sewer have been passed through appropriately and are for the amounts approved in the 2023 budget. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items that exceeded $5,000. Well, first, let me make this motion so I don't forget. Motion made by Ken English Seconded that the following vouchers having been ordered by the town board are hereby approved for payment. Claim numbers 201, 292, 1206 through 201, 292, 1258. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Maria. Okay, I'll continue the discussion on that. So some of the scary numbers are the $2,219,852. That's the Tuxedo Farm Sewer District. Basically, I guess I'd describe that as a pass-through to Wilmington Trust. That's not any taxpayer money. That's money owed on the bond payable through Related. Remitted taxes for $887,414. Taxes collected from the Tuxedo Joint Fire District. Same thing with the library, $600,602. So that's the taxes collected and dispersed. And the usual medical benefits and the like. One question I have, Howard, that I'd like to investigate with you is the payment to environmental consultants for the wastewater treatment facility operation January 2023. Environmental consultants for $8,411.16. That I'd just like to look into with you because now JCO, which is H2O and Solutions, is managing that plant. So I was a little surprised by this invoice, but I know that there is work being done both on the old plant and the new plant. So I think we just need to check in on this one and find out what that's all about.
So why don't you pull that one out and don't approve that yet?
Okay, let's do that. I'll make a motion. I'll add to that voucher 201-292-1246 be withheld for payment until we investigate that charge.
Well, second that amendment. I would add that when you guys get it sorted out, go ahead and pay it.
Right. Right, so if we find out right away that it needs to be paid, we'll just pay it.
Yeah, don't have to wait till next
Okay.
month if it's valid.
Okay. Any further question or comment on this from town board members? Okay, all in favor of approving this, the vouchers?
Aye.
Okay, vouchers are done. I'm going to jump to other business for a second. I just wanted to address a letter that was sent to from the Tuxedo Joint Fire District to the town board dated February 9th. This came from Ed Brennan, chair of the Tuxedo Joint Fire District. Basically, it's a letter imploring the town board to follow through on Governor Kathy Hochul's legislation that creates an opt-in for all local governments to provide 10% property tax exemption to volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers. Goes on to talk about the law that Governor Hochul signed. But I also wanted to bring to everyone's attention, we also got a memo from Paul Wiley of the Orange County, Director of Orange County Office of Real Property Taxes, and I'll just read his memo. It's about 3 or 4 paragraphs, so just bear with me. He says, "Hello all, I wanted to give you a quick update on where the county is in as far as the new version of the 466A volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers exemption." That's the law that Governor Hochul signed. The short version is that since there was no realistic way for us to get this adopted before the taxable status date of March 1st for this year, it will be done for next year. There has been a public hearing which has to be announced there has to be, there has to be a public hearing which has to be announced in newspapers ahead of time, and which then has to have a comment period afterwards before a vote, and it has to go through committees before the legislature can vote on it. The county legislature met February 2nd and does not meet again until March 2nd after taxable status date, which means everything would have to have been done and be in place prior to the February 2nd session, including the public hearing and comment sessions, which was virtually impossible unless started immediately after it was approved by the state. At this point, we are still gathering info and numbers to present to the legislature so that they can make an informed decision. And there are a lot of unanswered questions about implementing the new version, including if the new version of 466A is adopted. Does that wipe out the current exemption that some people are getting, so that they would have to apply for the new one before March 1st? And does 2 to 5 years as an active member mean just that in one district, or in Orange County, or in New York, or anywhere? The resolutions will have to be carefully constructed and it says property, but I know he meant properly worded and not rushed through. Furthermore, as of last week, the state did not have anything in place yet in the real property system to implement it or even test it, but should have something by the final tax roll date when it is ready, really needed. But that will likely be well after March 1st. The current set of exemptions for this will sunset after 3 years, December 9th, 2025. So there is time to do it right. And volunteers can still get the current property exemption or the income tax deduction, which for now tends to be a better deal than the property tax exemption as it is, depending on what each taxing authority adopts. It says up to 10% of the assessed value, but which could mean less than 10% depending on what is adopted. So, last paragraph for your information. The bottom line is that it is still being worked on and will not be ready this month, and therefore not for this year. I know the intent is to increase membership in the volunteer fire and ambulance community, but we still do not even know how many volunteers may be eligible for it, much less how much of an impact it could have on taxable values across the county. I'll try to keep everyone informed as best as I can as it continues to unfold. Thank you, Paul Wiley, Director of Orange County Office of Real Property. So I just wanted to make sure we publicly acknowledge to Gardner Hempel and Ed Brennan at the Joint Fire District that the town board absolutely takes this extremely seriously. And we actually have Article 4 on our town code that really echoes a lot of what the governor already put forward. So I just wanted to say we will be addressing this, waiting eagerly for the decisions and directions from Orange County, and we'll work with our attorney and make sure that we do everything possible to support our volunteer firefighters for answering the call. And I assure you, this town board will answer the call and respond appropriately. I want to see if my colleagues wanted to add anything to that.
I think you put that very well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it makes sense. Yeah.
I guess I would just, want to start a conversation with Gardner to make sure that the current volunteers know about the deduction that's available to them. I'm sure they do, so. But thank you for reading that letter. There are a lot of questions that still need to be answered, so it'll be good to see what the county does.
And, the 2023 taxes were collected and paid in January, so
Right.
it'll be kind of crazy to just try to rush something through. We want to make sure we get it right to the benefit of our volunteers.
Absolutely.
All right, that was what I wanted to add. I skipped over the public comments because I wanted to make sure, as the snow is falling, that I was able to read that letter. Any public comments? Deirdre, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah,
Was that you, Deirdre?
yeah, it was. I wanted to see if we could appoint Abigail.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to bring it up if you
I
didn't.
had that.
Right here,
It's right here.
and right here.
You want to read that, Jen?
I would be happy to.
motion by, I guess, me,
Yes.
seconded by a person to be named later, to appoint Abigail Klein as a seasonal intern position for a term of 8 weeks, not to exceed 17 and a half hours per week, or a total of 140 hours, at the rate of $25 per hour from budget line A5010.1. I have a second.
I'll second that.
You guys can explain more, but basically this is to hire this person to provide some clerical assistance with the accounting department and some other projects that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all I know.
Sure, I mean, we have projects that we need data collection for, for the energy audit and other projects. So this will be extremely helpful. And I know Carrie has some projects and Deirdre for our grants. So
Yes.
And I guess we're waiting to hear back from Orange County if she's approved for this position, is that?
No, we have it already.
Oh, so she's good to go.
She's good to go.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, right. Any other discussion? No? All right, all in favor? It's unanimous.
Okay, public comment. I think Sue Scher might have had her hand up.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the town board for your prompt and professional efforts to build a new recreation department. And I also wondered if this was not the time to start relooking at how to reconstitute some form of recreation advisory committee. I understand there's issues that related to the former structure that you've all been talking about. Is this now the time to start recreating it so that we have an advisory committee to work along with a new recreation director?
I think that's a unanimous yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Deirdre, two shots for a quarter. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that one of the things that we were going to look at is how an advisory committee for recreation, how it is in the code and what we need to do to adapt it so that it is
Yeah.
for the code appropriate. So I guess, Howard, you originally sent me the code to look at. Did we ever get anywhere? I'm sorry, don't remember if we ever got anywhere with that.
I'd have to go back and look. My recollection is I sent you the code and I sent you some
Recommendations,
recommendations on different alternatives
right?
that you could select among and between based upon how you wanted the entity to be structured, what kind of authority you wanted it to have vis-a-vis the town board, et cetera. So we could pull that up.
Well, let's pull that out, yeah. Let's
I'll
start
send it
that
to you
up
again.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Perfect. And I'll circulate it to everybody else too.
Yeah, I actually looked into that, and one of the things is that body as it stands now, it looks like it's a commission. And has different implication for how it functions within the town than an advisory board. So I think one of the things that I did learn also at AOT was I went to a recreation, particularly camp session, like the legalities of, all of this stuff. And it is important that if it's not working as a commission, we take it out of our code. And even if before we actually change it to something else, because, there's something in there that's not something that we have
Right.
in town.
As not to get too far into the details, I mean, as we've discussed, our first intention was to get the new recreation coordinator person online, because if we want to have summer camp, and we do, we have to do that last week. The advisory committee, or whatever its final form and name is, and a lot of the other details of the code that deals with parks and recreation are
you know, 20-plus years old and don't meet our current needs. And so we have a whole code exercise to go through.
Yeah. I think the other thing that I forgot to bring up was the senior survey committee asked that one of us be kind of a liaison with them on the board. And if all of you are okay with this, I would like to be that person, since I've already been dealing with the silver dollars and it's sort of related to recreation and so on. So it's just mostly, it's just for us, so for us to know what they're doing and what they're saying. So. if
You
that
got
is
my
okay with
vote.
you.
Sure.
Okay.
If you want it, you got it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're old enough, but.
I'm 64 years old, come on. I got my first bus discount the other day when I went into the city. I think I was like, do you have an ID? And I'm like, yeah. I'm more than 62.
Early birds be far behind.
Thank you.
Early bird.
All right.
All right, I don't have any other business that's been submitted to the board, so, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn. I think we went through everything, right?
We went through everything that's on our plate and a couple
All
other.
right, so I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 8:02 PM. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Seconded by Maria. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, get home safe. and-
Home safe, guys.
Bye-bye.
Do with this. Just
Bye.
say no, 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 no.
Feel better, Deirdre.